it is an absolute pleasure to announce not only a good friend, but the two-time NAIA national champion, as well as United Soccer coaching staff of the year. It is my good friend, David Macsicza from Central Methodist University. Welcome, David.
Hi, dear Mark. Good to see you.
Okay. Anyway, so I want to talk to you about, obviously your playing days, as well as your stepping in towards, coaching at the collegiate level, starting with your previous playing experience, prior to the USA. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and obviously about that?
Yeah, for sure. Prior to the US, I played back home in Slovakia for English Academy until I was around 15, 16 years of age. And then I switched to Puskás Ferenc Academy. Some people might be aware of it. It's legend for Hungary, legend for Real Madrid. And I played it for 3 years, 2 years in academy, and then 1 year for the for the B team of the professional team. Really enjoyed it. Throughout the youth, I played for the Slovakian youth national team from U15 till U19 with 26 games against some like France and Switzerland and some good teams. But then I decided to go to America and go to college. And it was one of the best decisions of my life for sure.
And just talking about, obviously the recruiting process, how did you get recruited to come over to the USA?
So USA was kind of always my dream to go. I didn't know how it works. I had to ask some of my friends who experienced it, some of the coaches, some of the agents around, and I kind of just talked to them, sent emails to all the schools, and slowly went through the list, and then decided to go to Grandview University in Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, to NAIA school. And it's a process. Definitely do your research and do your homework. But that was kind of how it worked.
Okay, and what can you tell us about the kind of day-to-day or typical day of a soccer student athlete?
For sure. Well, it kind of depends on specific institutions, how they run the system. But especially here at Central Methodist University, usually our student athletes, and specifically men's soccer student athletes, they do academics from 8 a.m. till around 3:30 till 4. So that's their academics time. So they can have classes, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. Then they have a break. They have a 10 a.m. class, lunch break, and they might have a class at 2. But we don't do any soccer-specific stuff within that time because we want to focus. We want to let them focus on the academics, and they have a little bit of time. And then we have a training session, usually around 4 or 6 p.m. We might include some video sessions, analysis, scouting, etc. It all also depends on if when the game is, if we're preparing for a game that is tomorrow or we're after the game. But usually that's how our student athletes work. They do academics first, and then we focus on the sports.
Now, I know you spoke about, obviously you started your collegiate career at the NAIA level at Grandview University, and then you transferred on to Old Dominion University. What differences did you find between the NAIA and the NCAA?
There's multiple differences. I would go, first of all, what kind of was the most difficult for me was the size of the university. The school at Grandview was much smaller. Old Dominion was 27,000 students, big campus. Smaller campuses, everyone kind of knows each other. Students, that the relationship between the faculty and the students is much closer. I would say it's more hands-on. The student-teacher ratio classes are much smaller. Here at CMU, it's between 16, 17, 18 to 1 ratio. Some classes that I had at ODU was around 100, or you might have big classes, small classes. So that was more for the academics. Soccer-wise, I would say it all depends on the quality of the specific teams. It's very difficult to say without being so specific. We played more, more style Grandview, more possessive. At D1 at ODU, it was more a little bit of athleticism and be more direct. But it all depends on the styles of the coaching staff and of the program. But you can have the facilities were much bigger at ODU at Division I level. I could say that for sure. But maybe from a soccer standpoint, it really depends. There's a bunch of NAIA schools that are unbelievably great and could compete with anyone with a Division I level. But academics were different. The kind of the feeling of the campus was a little bit different, and the facilities for sure.
Okay, and moving into coaching, aside from ability, what do you look for when you recruit?
Besides of ability, 100% academics. So when we were looking at someone as a player or potential recruit, soccer's first. Then we take a look at the academics. If the person or the player would be eligible, first of all. Second of all, you can already tell a little bit if person or recruit is passionate about both. You know, we really want our recruits to be passionate about both academics and soccer. And third of all, I would say in a recruit, we're looking at mentality, because mentality is big for us. Being the attitude, you know, being almost like professional attitude, trying to do all the right things, including the smallest things, the smallest details like nutrition and all these sorts of stuff. And we love team players. CMU is all about chemistry and team first mentality. And so that's not a big thing that we're trying to learn. I know it's hard to learn, you know, through calls or even meeting the person. You always find the most when actually a person comes. But I would say academics, and then I would say the mentality and attitude. And
continuing on recruiting, do you tend to attend, you know, showcases, or do you use like online softwares like recruiting software, you know, like Captain U, College Fit Finder, you know, for CMU specifically?
We do both, 100%. Kind of what I learned from my head coach, Alex Nichols, that never skip on an email, never skip on a video. So whenever we get an email or whatever content it might be, we always do the due diligence to make sure we don't even stop the video in 30 seconds because we might miss something. We're trying to always watch every video and fully to make sure we didn't miss or, you know, we didn't do our fault. And in terms of showcases, we're trying to go to as many showcases as possible, even within the U.S. A lot of showcases locally. There's a lot here in Missouri, St. Louis, Kansas City, a lot of even here in Colombia. Obviously, there's so many famous ones or popular ones around America. But there's also a lot of international that we're trying to attend. Me being from Europe, I kind of try to oversee some of the showcases in Europe and try to go to as many as possible. Obviously, it's not easy financially, but we go. I was lucky enough to go to Italy, and we're hoping to go a lot. So showcases, emails, it's where it is for sure.
And you spoke about, you know, having international as well as domestic soccer players at CMU. What advice would you have for any youth soccer player aspiring to maybe go to the college level or potentially the next level after that?
I would say really think of what you want. Think of what is important to you as a recruit. Is it academics? It's completely okay. If it's soccer, completely okay. If it's potentially even the smallest things like location. You know, us being in a small school, a small town in Missouri, if we're speaking to someone from, it doesn't matter where, but he wants to be in New York or someone wants to be in San Diego, doesn't matter where, we might not be the best fit, and we want to make sure when a recruit comes, he or she is very happy here at the same time, because we are recruiting them, but they're recruiting us as well. So if I would give an advice, do your research, to think of the schools, and I would say the recruiting websites are very, very helpful. Try to go to as many showcases, try to put your name out there, network, talk, send emails. Don't make mistakes in emails. Make sure you spell the names right. Or if you send a big email, don't put all the college coaches in CC, because if we say you send it to 400 coaches, that's not the best. At least do the BCC, please. And do the little things. And if you're trying to send it to a specific one, try to be as specific as possible. Do your homework. Congratulate them on their recent success. Or do you stand out from everyone else? You know, so I would say these would be probably the best ones.
David Macsicza, an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely, it was a pleasure as well, and continue the great work. I heard your U17 girls made it international, so keep up. Awesome.